What is up, Steelers Nation? Thank you so much for jumping on to another episode of All Steelers Talk. I'm Noah Sharkbine, joined always by my main man, Jacob Punturi. Find us on youtube.com/All Steelers Talker. Subscribe anywhere you get your podcast, the Pittsburgh Steelers. Every time they try to tell us we're out, well, then they just bring us back in. We're talking wide because, again, every time it settles, the news ramps up, and we're here again talking two more options and a timeline that is coming real fast. If you ask friend of the show, Mark Kaboom Kaboli, it's a beautiful one here in the Berg. Was raining throughout the day, but it's all right. It feels good. Feels good to be back at a 4 o'clock hour scheduled podcast, whatever you want to describe. It feels good to be sitting here. Felt weird, to be honest with you, to not go up to Latrobe today, and I don't know. I don't have anything else to say besides it just felt weird to not get in my car, drive an hour home, and sweat all day, and I kind of miss it. Won't lie to you. How you feeling, my friend? Happy to be here on a good old Wednesday afternoon.
Certainly agreed with that. I think we both had the post-camp blues a little bit.
Yeah.
But, I'm recovering. I think the rain was appropriate for today for specifically that reason. It's a little gloomy today as we recover. But, just like you said, we might be down a little bit. Spirits might have gone down a little bit, deflate after St. Vincent's. But we got lots to talk about, and there's lots of buzz happening. As soon as we leave, it's almost like they turned it up a notch just to give us a little something to hang on to. So all things considered, I'm doing good, man. I'm avoiding the rain. And for all the lovely viewers tuning in today, I just want to give a shout out. See if I'm on camera here. The All Steelers Talk t-shirt.
They're coming. They're coming. I was asked about it on the call-in show today. Shout out to everybody who called into the call-in show about the t-shirts and some ideas, and we're out of camp, so it's all coming, and it's all coming quick. So keep an eye out for the lookout. And if you're supposed to get one, it's coming. I promise. It's actually all sitting right there in a box, so it is happening very, very soon. I apologize for the delay. Giveaways during training camp is just I'm sorry. I'm just all I could say is I'm sorry. Let's talk wide receiver, my friend. It just doesn't end. I'm kind of mad at Mark Kaboli for not giving me the news that he was going to break this. Not even break it, report it, drop the bomb, the kaboom bomb. 24 hours after training camp, when all he had to do was sit there on the sideline talking to me, which we were talking about wide receivers, and tell me, hey, in 10 to 12 days, they're going to make a move, and I'm going to let that be known tomorrow so that I could just be prepared, look into it a little bit, be able to confirm it. Instead, noon on a Wednesday, he drops it while I'm eating lunch, and here we are. There are two names, Terry McLaurin and now Odell Beckham Jr., that are on the Steelers' radar, according to, Odell Beckham himself. He was on the Club Random podcast and said this about the Pittsburgh Steelers and quarterback Aaron Rodgers, quote, "I love him. And we've had conversations. I won't say that it's not a possibility, and I won't say that I haven't had any communication with the Pittsburgh Steelers." Odell comes out of left field as a name that I don't think anybody brought up, assumed would be on their radar, and to be honest with you, fits the bill a lot like Amari Cooper, but the Pittsburgh Steelers have been out on Amari Cooper, which makes you think, why would you be in on Odell Beckham Jr.? But apparently they are. Apparently Aaron Rodgers has some interest in bringing a former Super Bowl champion to the Pittsburgh Steelers to round out the wide receiver core. Kaboom, on the other hand, later, when asked about Terry McLaurin, maybe, and then Odell Beckham Jr., his words were, quote unquote, closer. Is Odell Beckham Jr. a name that we got to start watching and could somewhat expect to end up in the black and gold this season?
Gosh, Noah, I guess I think we're reaching this point where desperate doesn't feel, it feels too dramatic, but I think we're getting to this point where every option is certainly on the table. So I will not dismiss the Odell Beckham Jr. stuff. From the horse's mouth, we know that he and Aaron Rodgers have had a good relationship while never playing on the same team together in their respective NFL careers. So, I certainly believe that they've talked about playing, and maybe
Yeah.
there's been some encouragement of, if you're free, you want to join, for sure. But what I can't get over is how little this will do for the Steelers offense. He's coming off a year where he had, I believe, one less than 10 receptions.
I don't know, to be honest with you, because I paid almost no attention to Odell Beckham Jr. in Miami, let alone anybody in Miami. But to me, Odell was just the Band-Aid of he's there, and then he never really did anything, and then they were released. And then for 8 weeks, it felt like everybody was talking about Odell's just ramping up for the playoffs, and then never signed with a playoff team. So that's when I lost interest in Odell Beckham Jr.
Yep. Yeah, and I think if this was 2022, I'd be all in on this. But I think since he had that last ACL injury, he's just become basically a shell of himself. And if this again, the Steelers are reaching this point where they need to consider literally every option, even if it is Amari Cooper or other players that you and I have talked about not being the best fit. I think these conversations are being revisited whether we like it or not. But man, I will go to bat with the belief that Odell Beckham Jr. will do nothing more than Calvin Austin or Roman Wilson or Scotty Miller, put in another name here, could do in the year 2025. I just don't see it.
No, I agree. I don't think Odell Beckham does anything for you. Do I think he's a reliable set of hands? Sure. But if your options are Odell Beckham Jr. or Gabe Davis or Amari Cooper, there's no difference outside of a 10-year age gap between everybody else and Gabe Davis. There's just nobody there. To me, Odell Beckham Jr., maybe he wants to come to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Maybe he's still looking to play in 2025. Maybe he says that he's healthy, but he's a 33-year-old wide receiver who is far beyond his prime, and the Pittsburgh Steelers shouldn't even be looking there. At what point do you acknowledge that's not the right move in Pittsburgh? At what point do you sit down and go, nah, there's got to be something there? Because it's not Odell Beckham Jr., Terry McLaurin, and you're close. No, it's Odell Beckham Jr., Terry McLaurin, and you're telling me there's nothing in between? There's not a single option you could call? We were talking, I think it was Chris yesterday in the comments, saying Houston's got 75 wide receivers. I'd take John Mechie before I took Odell Beckham Jr., and I'm not in on John Mechie. I'd take Christian Kirk before these guys. I would take somebody off Jalen McMillan, anybody in Tampa Bay. There are so many names between Odell Beckham and the top of the list here that it just, to me, doesn't make any sense. Now, do I understand why Aaron would be fascinated with the name, as they've probably battled many times, and he's a well-respected guy in the league for a long time, including a long time during Aaron Rodgers' career? Yeah, I totally understand that. But I also look at it and say, what is the difference? I'm being serious here. What is the difference between Odell Beckham Jr. showing up and Robert Woods being on the roster, but not probably making the roster? They're the same player. There's no difference. You have your old wide receiver. You don't need another one. You just don't. It's the same argument with Amari Cooper. I'm not going out. If I'm the Pittsburgh Steelers, I have no interest in Amari Cooper unless you desperately need Amari Cooper come week 4. But until then, I have no interest in anybody over the age of 32 years old when there are other options here, and I have a Robert Woods. It just, to me, doesn't make any sense. I'm being dead serious when I say this. I'd rather give Max Hurlman or Keyshawn Williams a roster spot over bringing in Odell Beckham Jr., and I don't think it makes the Steelers any worse. I really don't.
No, I don't think that's crazy at all, Noah. I think that's honestly the correct take on the situation, and everything else would just be sort of playing into the reputation that OBJ has built in his NFL career and sort of disregarding what has happened since 2022 when he was with the Rams in that Super Bowl run. He is not again, I'm not trying to disrespect Odell Beckham Jr. like as a person, but he's not an NFL wide receiver anymore. He's hardly a camp body. And if the only description, positive description that we can give him is that he has steady hands, well, I mean, as you already said, we just described Robert Woods as well. So what are we bringing to the table here? How are we making a difference? Again, we continue to say on this show, like, the only way they're going to make a difference is by gaining that legitimate, or one of the only ways they can make a difference is by gaining that legitimate wide receiver too. And there's just no stretch of the imagination that Odell Beckham Jr. in the year of our Lord 2025 can get that done. It just can't happen.
No, it cannot. It cannot. There's a long list before I go Odell Beckham Jr. in Pittsburgh. Terry McLaurin, maybe. And Mark Caboli dropped this one. Big kaboom show here. Don't worry. I'll send him the clips. He'll see him already, dude. This guy, Mark Caboli, man. First off, shout out. We've been talking. I'll tease it a little bit here. Well, we don't have details on it yet, but we've been talking a little bit here, a little bit there during training camp about a potential crossover show of the Noah Jacob, Kaboom, and Mac show, and would be awesome. We'll try to figure it out. But anyways, he sees everything and constantly loves to send me TikToks of myself with hateful comments in them, just to be like, hope you're having a good night. And it's, I hope he's having a good day. He dropped this hint, or massive boom, I guess. We'll call it a boom. We'll call it a kaboom. Love that. That the Pittsburgh Steelers, in his eyes, are expected to make a move for a wide receiver, quote, within 10 to 12 days. He says Terry McLaurin could be an option. Odell Beckham's closer to an option. He rules out Amari Cooper, which I think we've been doing for a long time here. 10 to 12 days for the Pittsburgh Steelers. How surprised are you that the Steelers may be this urgent to make a move? And do you think the sense of urgency gives you some idea that it might be a bigger splash or a smaller splash in your eyes, depending on what side of the line you teeter, on where they go in the direction that they head at wide receiver?
Ooh, the specificity of this kaboom is making me feel inclined to say that this is going to be another big move. I don't, and again, you've been calling me on my downplaying of a big move for the past couple of weeks, and I have been pretty steadfast in that belief, but the tables have shifted so starkly in the last 24, 48 hours. I just think with all of this, we're approaching September, where 10 to 12 days puts us at August 25th, right? We're not too far off from week one.
Last week is a desperate time.
That is urgency, if there is urgency to be had for the Pittsburgh Steelers roster. And so, yeah, it all kind of, when I'm putting this piece together, doing this mental math here, I'm like, maybe that dream of Terry McLaurin isn't dead. Maybe that bigger move that we've talked about and speculated about and then downplayed for the more average move is on the table in a more concrete way. If the kaboom's out there, it's kind of like where there's smoke, there's fire. If the kaboom's dropping, there might be more on the way. And I also want to believe, admittedly, that there is a larger move on the way to sort of solidify and round out the Steelers offense. Where are you at on this teeter-totter?
I'll tell you this without giving up too much, because I don't think that I think there's fire. Okay. I think there is fire. Okay. I think that from what I've been told over, this is not new. This is not today's information, but which, like, the 10 to 12 day thing struck me as a whoa, just like everybody else. But I've obviously had constant conversations with a number of people, and it's been the same thing of like, yeah, they were impressed by Roman Wilson with his 2 catches, and they think Roman Wilson could be good. But there's not many people in Pittsburgh that are sitting around going, I can't wait for Scotty Miller to be wide receiver 3 or wide receiver 4. And there aren't many people sitting around going, I hope that Calvin Austin doesn't miss regular season games, because right now that's a possibility. And you're looking at Roman as that wide receiver 2, great, except for the fact that Aaron doesn't really trust Roman Wilson right now. So there are issues there. And the Steelers have been very aware of it. That's why they called Washington. That's why they've been calling teams, monitoring trades. The difference, I think, is that right now we are starting to enter the point that we've talked about for months now, where it's becoming a reality. Teams are very open right now to making moves. They understand, much like the Steelers do, what their roster is going to look like in 2025. The Steelers have a pretty good idea of who the 53 guys are going to be on their roster come week one. There are a couple of like, maybe they make a play or two and they earn their way in here, but 99% of this roster is sculpted and they're ready to go, which means that they got guys that they're ready to move and other teams have guys that they're ready to move. And I don't know exactly who those names are, but the Steelers are ready to do something. And Odell Beckham, I think, is a surprise to me. I did not see Odell Beckham coming. I think Odell Beckham, while it is a possibility for sure, is a little bit smoke just to cause smoke, not smoke because of fire. Like, I think Odell Beckham and Mike Tomlin might have had a conversation, and Omar might have reached out to his agent, or his agent might have reached out to Omar. But I don't think that, Odell Beckham and the Steelers have a contract on the table. I don't think that they're that close. But the Steelers are going to act as if he's an option, just like everybody else is an option all the time. They have to keep all options on the table. But we are hitting that point where guys are becoming available. Guys are also getting hurt. And I think the teams are starting to make moves, which is giving a sense of urgency to the situation. So 10 to 12 days to me feels pretty spot on. Like, it's going to happen. Something's going to happen. What's your confidence level 1 to 100 that the Steelers do make a move at wide receiver? It doesn't have to be a trade. It could be a signing, but that there is a new wide receiver in Pittsburgh. And then I have another question for you, but I want this one answered first.
97.
97. I agree with that. I think I think it's spot on to 100.
Yeah, I think it's like a near guarantee that there will be another wide receiver. A move is going to happen. I don't think we can really avoid that at this point. And I don't think there's really any other direction to look at this or any other way to interpret sort of what's been happening the past few days. The second part of your question here, I'm curious.
What are the chances that Roman or Calvin are in a trade package for another wide receiver? Because you asked me at the beginning of training camp, and I'll tell you that there's no chance they're trading Calvin. You asked me 2 weeks or 2.5 weeks where we leave Latrobe and Calvin doesn't participate for over a week because of an injury. Looked fine, but there's nothing explosive beforehand. Him and Aaron didn't have this immediate, like, he's the next James Jones or whoever you want to classify him as. What's the 1 to 100 here that you think one of those two names are on the move if they do make a move to bring somebody big in?
Man, and it's crazy how much of a different tune I'm singing here, but I'm saying 56. Okay. I think we are just over, more likely than not, that a younger piece, Roman Wilson, Calvin Austin, excuse me, are included in a trade to get something bigger. I think we can concretely say that we have seen enough to know that more is needed, right? That these two are not the answer for 2025. Beyond that, we don't know, but they need more offensive help for this season. If you're all in, you got to consider making a move like that. And I think I would sleep pretty well at night if we parted with someone like Roman Wilson or Calvin Austin III in order to bring in a stud of a wide receiver and some of those bigger names that we've been talking about that feel like really good fits in Pittsburgh.
I agree. I definitely agree. I think it's just over 50. And to be honest with you, I think I'm higher than 56%. The Pittsburgh Steelers have no loyalty to either of these guys. They don't need to have any loyalty to them. Roman Wilson is a third-round pick. Third-round picks get moved all the time. Third-round picks don't make the roster 2 years into the NFL all the time. Like, that's just DeMarvin Leal was a third-round pick. Guy's not going to make the team. If he does, it's because Alex Highsmith is injured. Yeah, which stinks. I think DeMarvin Leal is a very talented guy, but he never worked out. He's a third-round pick in the NFL draft. these happen constantly. Roman is not a first-round pick. No, Roman is not a guy you are tying your ship to say that he has to be here. Do the Steelers want him to work out? Certainly. If Washington tells Omar Khan, we'll give you Terry McLaurin for a third-round pick and Roman Wilson, Omar Khan saying yes. He's not going to say no to this situation. Calvin Austin's the same thing. They want Calvin to be that guy so bad. And they would trade Roman before they traded Calvin. I guarantee that one. But Calvin is on the last year of his contract and doesn't have plans in place for next season and is now injured, which means that it's all adding up for the Steelers to say he's disposable, more disposable than he was at the beginning of training camp. I'm not saying that you're going to trade him for a nobody. I don't think that you're trading Calvin Austin for an Alan Lazard, who just got hurt the other day. I understand, but it's that caliber of play. You're not trading that. But if the right opportunity presented itself, if the Tyreek Hill conversation went somewhere, if the Terry McLaurin conversation went somewhere, if the Chris Olave, if we're going to go real back, but he's injured again. I don't think that's on the table right now. If there's something in that demeanor, to be honest with you, if they called a team like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Bucs said Jalen McMillan, a guy of that caliber, is on the trade block, we'll give you Jalen McMillan and a 5th round pick for Roman Wilson and a 7th. I think the Steelers would make that move. I really, truly do.
They'd have to.
That's what I'm saying. I don't think that there's any loyalty to these guys right now. And I think that the Steelers went through training camp and did not leave it any more impressed than they entered it. So to me, it's a big possibility. Who's your guess? This is the last one I got for you here. Who's your guess at the wide receiver that ends up in Pittsburgh?
I think, yeah, you kind of jumped the gun a little bit as far as that's concerned. But, I think with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers coming into town tomorrow, Steelers are going to get a real good look at some players that might fit well in this system. Would not be shocked if Jalen McMillan is a Steeler very soon. And it could be, again, I if it costs a Roman Wilson or something to help get that deal done, sayonara, with love, but don't let the door hit you. So yeah, I think the Tampa Bay Bucs, I've maintained the Green Bay Packers have been a great trade partner, but Romeo Doubs was injured yesterday as well again. So you have that to contend with as well. So, let's throw Jalen McMillan's name out there and let's see if this sort of all culminates at a great timing with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers coming into town.
I like that. Jalen McMillan look at the Steelers called Tampa Bay. Okay. I was talking to Smitty. We were at Sharky's. He's the one that broke that news 2 months ago now at this point, maybe a little over a month ago, that the Steelers called Tampa Bay, and me and him were talking about it. Like they were on the phone. They were looking for Trey Palmer, but they were just looking. They were calling anybody they could to see what the trade price is for all the wide receivers that could be available. I'm going to be really honest with you, okay? This might be a shot in the dark, a super, super crazy name. But I don't know who I'm most confident is going to end up in Pittsburgh. I would guess who I'm most confident in, to be really honest, Odell Beckham Jr. That's who I'm most confident is going to end up in Pittsburgh. The crazy name that I think could end up in Pittsburgh that I am not going to say is a low chance, Tyreek Hill. I really think that the Steelers and Miami might have some conversations. They've already had some conversations. Tyreek Hill is going to run himself out of Miami, dude. They hate him down there. They hate him. Anytime I talk to anybody in Miami, yeah, it's just he's miserable. The team's miserable around him. Him and Tua don't get along. There's nothing good there. And the Steelers have always been the team to say, we'll take on crazy. We could care less about crazy. Drama's fine. That's our middle name. Mike Tomlin's been taming drama since since 2004. This guy's totally fine with it. I would not rule out Tyreek Hill. I really, truly wouldn't. And I know people are going to call me nuts until it happens. And I'm not confident it's going to happen. But Tyreek Hill is a name that I'm saying start watching. Start watching for Tyreek Hill.
Oh, geez, oh man. I would rather O'Doyle rolls it right off right off a cliff, Billy Madison style, than at either of those two options that you listed there. And that's not me saying that you suggesting it or bringing it up is nuts or crazy. I
No,
think
yeah.
it's honestly the opposite. Everything that I have seen and read and heard over the last couple of months, and in, this started my second season here covering the team, like that seems on the table for sure. So you're not crazy for suggesting it. I just hate it. Just hate it.
I kind of love it, to be honest with you. Like, I am a guy that
sick,
feeds
dude.
off
You're
of
sick.
it. Like, I'm a sick guy. In the head, I'm sick. You know what I mean?
You're
The first thing I ever got from the first text I ever got, and I won't give names here, but the first text I ever got, and it's not a reporter, I'm gonna tell you that. So I'll give a little bit of something away here. First text I ever got about Jalen Ramsey is from an NFL person, won't give a name, won't give a position, NFL person who said, "Good luck." And I said, "Wow, really?" And he said, "God bless." That's what he said. And you want to know what Jalen Ramsey ends all of his interviews with? "God bless." And I said, "Wow, dude." I texted him after his first interview. I said, "Wow, dude, that's hilarious." And he said, "Do you hate him yet?" I said, "No, I think he's a good dude. I think he's totally fine." I feed off this. Okay. Give me all the chaos, because the Steelers look damn good with some chaos right now. Okay. They look good. Jalen Ramsey, I don't care how dramatic he is. He looks fan-freaking-tastic. Okay. And the guy just wants to win football games. If Tyreek Hill wants to do the same thing, which Tyreek Hill was not all drama in Kansas City. Just saying. Just saying. Maybe the Dolphins stink and there's reasons to be dramatic. No, you disagree? Was he dramatic in Kansas City?
Just trying to think of timelines of things. But you might be right. I don't want to get bogged down in the Tyreek Hill drama. I think, in essence, I do agree that there's it could be a name that the collective Steelers nation is kind of like, crap. Okay. I think that could be
look,
the
dude,
name
everybody
that gets brought in.
I agree. I think everybody hates everybody until they start winning football games. You know what I mean?
For sure.
Nobody wanted Aaron Rodgers until he showed up, and now everybody's like, "Well, okay, here we go. Let's see what happens." Cam Hayward's gonna be.
I've never said a bad word about him. So
yeah, me neither, dude. I've never once made a darkness retreat joke. No. Cam Hayward is going to be enemy number one until he gets the first sack of the season. You know what I mean? Like, this is what happens. It's all at the end of the day, come week 1, September 13th or whatever. It is just about winning football games. And I think Tyreek helps you win football games. So we'll see what happens. But man, we'll see what happens. 10 to 12 days. All right. With that said, that's everything on our agenda. We're going to start answering all your guys' questions. So toss them in the chat. We'll be right back.
Pittsburgh, this one's for you. From the voices behind all Steelers talk comes Black and Gold apparel, your go-to for bold, fan-driven merch that reps the city, the Steelers, and everything in between. Whether you bleed black and gold or just love that Pittsburgh grit, we've got something for you. It's more than a podcast. It's a community. And thanks to your support, we're proud to bring the passion from our mics to your closets. Gear up, stand out, and show the world what real fans look like. Shop now at blackandgoldapparel.myshopify.com.
All righty. Shout out to our members. Shout out to our super chatters. Can't thank you guys enough. As always, if you didn't check out the call-in show, make sure that you do. Jacob's just giving us a little. I was in a meeting today, not to get off topic here, although I get off topic a lot.
Please do.
I was in a meeting today, and the guy's camera on the other side followed him wherever he went, and it was the wildest thing I've seen, to be honest. I had to tell him to stop it because I was way too distracted by the camera but that's what it looked like. It just looked like it was just moving with him, and I was like, this is way too techno for me. This is way.
That freaks me out. That seems like some Patrick Bateman stuff. You know what I mean? Like,
lot.
no one wants to see you that often, that closely, with that much precision. You know what I mean?
Nah,
I don't think the picnic pack's tuning in to get a good glimpse at my face. You know what I'm saying?
That's what I'm saying. There's a lot going on. Macaroni salad. Thank God we are back at 4 p.m. Vodka tonic time has been saved. Shout out, my friend. It's macaroni salad. It's a macaroni salad kind of day. What a dude, bro. Shout out, man. shout out. Also, Macaroni Salad, if you did not listen to the call-in show today, go listen to it because you got a shout out. And somebody asked for us a picnic pack song. And I didn't give anything away. I just said maybe people should be a little bit excited about what's to come. Too many heard at practice. I'm going to the Packs and the Colts game. Eddie, let's meet up for the Colts and have a good old AST All Steelers tailgate. Also, Noah, members fantasy. We have a fantasy league going. There are too many members to do one fantasy league. So what we're gonna do, I've been thinking about it, is like a pick'em eliminations type thing. That way we could get everybody in here. But I'll have everything set up. Whatever we finalize will be done before week 1. And then I'll give it a couple of days to pump on the YouTube channel and in the community page and everything else to make sure everybody knows what's going on. Fantasy, there's just too many members. We'd have to, I think you can only go to 14. I want to say maybe 16 is like the max, which at that point I would hate my life because it'd be so hard. I'd be like Calvin Austin would be my wide receiver 1, dude. Could you imagine?
Yeah, you're playing. Yeah, you got Scotty Miller. Just like
Scotty Miller would be my wide receiver
this week.
That's what I'm saying, dude. That's what I'm saying. So we're gonna figure out. I think it's a pick'em league. I think that's what we're gonna go with. And we'll launch everything out there. Eddie, make sure you hit this man up. It would be sick to do a little AST tailgate. I can't go, but I'll stop in for sure. I'll stop in. Macaroni Salad. Want to let Eli know that I'm working. Oh, dude, what is this? What is this? I want to let Eli know that I'm working on a picnic pack salad. Crew song also enjoyed the all papaya salad call show, dude. Okay, Jacob, you did not listen to the call-in show, I would imagine. Papaya salad. I hope you're on here. I hope you're good because this man hates Cam Hayward. Okay, hates him. And brought up a lot of like, dude, screw this guy points. And I was like, there's some things I can't argue with, breach of contract. The good old fashioned blue collar people would not act like this. There are a lot of things I agreed with. And I think it was a perfect representation of how a lot of fans feel about how pissed off they are for a team that is about hard work. And Cam has always solidified that. And now he's turned his back a little bit, which is, again, like we've gone on this and I defended Cam in the way of like, dude deserves his money. If he did this on July 24th, let TJ have his moment in the sun. And then the next day say, hey, I'm looking for a contract. There are no issues. You know what I mean? You do it on August 8th. There's issues. You did it on the wrong time here, pal. And I think that's the issue, but yeah, I think it was a good representation. And my man, I just let him rant, dude. It was a good time. Papaya salad, if you're on here, my brother, appreciate it for sure.
I get that, man. I think everyone's entitled to feeling that sort of frustration, even if I don't agree 100% or feel the same way. I mean, I think there's a lot of good points here, and the Steel City prides itself on hard work, and I think that is a very important part of the city's culture from every part of it. So, I get that for sure. When that feels violated, it does feel like a sort of, personal assault against the souls of a lot of Pittsburghers. So again, I think the frustration is totally fine. I just hope it gets resolved so that can just get 180'd into just like the cam pack is ready to go.
Yeah, just ready to go. Although Maddie brings it up, a good point here. Schefter reported that the Steelers aren't willing to pay Cam. I also have heard the same thing, that the Steelers have no interest in paying Cam Hayward, and we'll see how that changes. But right now I have been told it's a strict, that's actually, this is a theory, but my theory is that the Steelers made it very clear to his agent the day that they broke that news that that they were not paying him more money. And that his agent then went to Adam Schefter. But I have been told the same thing. The Steelers have absolutely no interest in paying Cam Hayward. We'll see how it plays out. That would make it, especially when you put it that way, like it would make a ton of sense for that to have been what they got from the Steelers. And they're like, the only play we have next is to sort of put this out there and see if that pressure can get any sort of traction on that money. So yeah, we're going to see then. I think we're going to be holding our heads, or, not holding our heads up, but like just kind of wondering, looking around, like, is Cam going to play week 1? I think that's going to continue to be a larger and more dramatic question over the next couple of weeks here. I'll ask this question more tomorrow, but start thinking about it now.
Cool.
I think there's a possibility the deeper this goes, the crazier it gets. Cam's not on the Steelers roster in week 1. And by that, I mean he's not a member of the Pittsburgh Steelers anymore. I don't know where he is, but there are probably 31 other teams that be very happy to have Cam Hayward and would be willing to pay him a little bit more money. And if he's that pissed off and there's that much issues, you never know what happens in the NFL these days. Heath Miles, I love Wednesdays because I get a double dose of AST. Got my AST hoodie a few weeks ago. Love the show. Keep it up. Hey, appreciate you, Heath, my guy. Hope the hoodie's good. I'm a big fan of the hoodies for real. Jacob knows we wear nothing but hoodies. Jacob is the hoodie man. Shout out my guy, man. Appreciate you. I do love a good old Wednesday with the double dose. We're actually there's some things in the works to hopefully bring a little bit more AST to everybody's day moving forward throughout the season. So we'll have some news. Not even going to try. Can we afford to pay Cam and another wide receiver? The answer to this is yes. Cam is going to cost maybe another $7 million, I think. I don't think there's any chance the Steelers pay him double digits. Do I think he's looking for 10 to $15 million? Yes. Do I think the Steelers are going to say, here's $12 million? No, I don't. I think they're going to say, here's 10, here's the max, take it or go retire, you 36-year-old defensive tackle. And he's going to say, all right, sounds good. This is what I got. Cool. And I think that leaves them with about 30 or $22 million in cap space. You could rework a lot of stuff with that and you can make it work. So the answer to this is yes. Do I think that you could go get Terry McLaurin, and not, have to shift a couple of things? No. But I do think that it's capable to get pretty much every wide receiver that you're looking for and pay Cam and Chris Boswell, who's also going to get paid before week 1.
For sure. I guess my only question or person that I would be hesitant that falls under that category is Tyreek Hill, with some of the stuff that we've talked about recently with his massive cap number. I don't know how that affects this year's cap number and all that crazy parts of the contract stuff. So I think he's the only one that I would be slightly worried about. Can they fit everything under the cap without doing a ton of restructuring? But as I also say a lot, if they want to bring them in, they'll make it work, and we'll just be shocked at how they magically fit everybody under the cap. So I'm not really worried about the finances or the salary cap being a restraint or a problem obstacle to getting that wide receiver to it. They'll bring in someone for $100 bajillion and they'll be like, look at this, we gained salary cap space because we converted Christian Kuntz's signing bonus into a flat tax or something made up. You know what I mean? Those make it up, and they'll be like, oh my God, that's great. They just got $20 million in cap space. That's great.
Yeah, it always works. It always comes back. You can only do it for so long, but the Steelers have not backed themselves up yet. You know what I mean? That's the biggest thing is people say oh, the Saints. Yeah, the Saints hit the end of the road, and eventually you hit the end of the road, but the Steelers haven't even jumped on the road yet. They were on the road with Ben. When Ben had 5 void years at the end of his career, they were getting dangerously close to being okay, this is an issue. And then COVID happened and the salary cap took a hit and things became a little tough, a little tight. But they right now are not on the road of extended contracts beyond this. So they could start maneuvering things in pretty crazy ways. Smooth as Buddhist. They can't say we're all in and then not trade for a wide receiver. By the way, in case anyone was interested, I'm now on week 3 of basic engineering school for my Navy job. Shout out to Smooth as Buddhist, my guy. Thank you so much, my friend. Hope you're doing well. Hope you're kicking ass. Engineering school sounds way too smart for anything I could do. Shout out my guy. I also agree with you on this one that the Steelers, I think they could be all in without a wide receiver, but I also think that the Steelers, their outlook on what all in is right now includes a wide receiver. Do you feel different?
No, not at all. I agree 100%. I think they are all in, regardless of what transpires in the next month, leading up to, or a couple weeks leading up to week 1. The Steelers are, in fact, all in on a Super Bowl in 2025. I agree with Noah 100% that that plan of going all in includes having 2 dynamic wide receivers on the outside. The execution of that is just where I just don't know how that's going to happen, or which players they feel fits into that plan versus what players you and I might feel, or the picnic pack might feel. So I think that they are all in regardless, and I think there's going to be a move, but I'm holding my breath that it's going to be this major perfect trade that makes me incredibly happy with the result.
Yeah, I also agree. I look at it and say that the Steelers, they want to make it happen. What's going to come of it, we'll wait and see. 10 to 12 days, according to Mark Caboli. But the look at Omar Khan's he's a visionary, man. When he's like Omar Khan's like me. That's how I compare things. Omar Khan to me. If I'm walking through the grocery store, okay, and I look at the Oreos, and then I leave the grocery store without the Oreos have 10 to 12 days before they're in my house. You know what I mean? That's what's happening here, because those Oreos are not leaving my mind. My mind's already on the Oreos. Omar Khan's been thinking of this wide receiver for months, and it's coming. It's coming soon.
That got me way too good, dude. Thank you.
It's coming.
Yeah, no. Yeah, I agree with you 100% with the sentiment. Like Omar Khan, when the stubbornness of the Steelers is a very good thing, is that like when Omar Khan sets his sights on a target, like like a sniper, he just locks on, and it might take different routes to ultimately get to that end goal, but when he wants to do something, he gets it done. So I do have belief that Omar Khan is sticking to his guns with this. So yeah, and again, just want to give my own shout out to Smootest Buddhist. That's incredible. Hope you keep taking care of yourself.
Shout out, my friend. Shout out. Too many hurt at practice. I actually feel that the Steelers not paying Cam is more disrespectful than his timing of making this public. I would lose some black and gold respect. I don't disagree with this. I think that last year Cam was asked to take a pay cut, said he was not going to take a pay cut, and here we are. The Steelers do this all the time. On the argument of the Steelers love to disrespect older veterans thing, it's always been Troy Polamalu would have been picked up by 31 teams in the league the year that he retired, but he chose to retire a Pittsburgh Steeler, even though the Pittsburgh Steelers said you have one choice and it's retire because we're not keeping you around, even though they had no replacement for Troy Polamalu, and it took them until Minkah Fitzpatrick. He was bad. It like Hines Ward had zero interest in retiring, and the Pittsburgh Steelers said you need to retire. Ben Roethlisberger wanted to retire. The Steelers said, nah, we got to get a first round. Even though we don't have anybody in the building to replace you, you need to leave. You need to get out of here. The Steelers do that all the time. And eventually they're going to do it to Cam, and eventually they're going to do it to TJ, and then they're going to do it to guys like Jalen Ramsey. And it's just going to go and go and go and go and go. And, that's just the Steelers do this constantly. This is not a surprise on how the Steelers handle this.
No, and it sounds like that's what they tried to do to Cam last year, was not necessarily push him out. But I think that's like, again, they were entering into the Steelers model of how they treat veterans. They're like, you're either going to take a pay cut, even if you are, if you're declining in skill set production, or staying the same. And the Steelers had a very good logic and very valid reasoning for saying, hey, look, you're coming off an injury, and players over this age tend to average this level of production, and it is much less than what the most expensive D tackles in the NFL make. Like that's all well and good. I think where I ultimately do just get so hung up, and where I tend to disagree with this like model of treating veterans, is that like, when Troy was entering that final year, his play dropped. Like, he was no longer that dynamic Troy Polamalu. He was, sure, an NFL player probably, or a rotational safety, but
yeah,
when you're a Hall of Famer, the drop off that hard is like he needed to be replaced or not on the team. I understood that. Same thing with Ben Roethlisberger. Like, I think that there was this, even with a lack of replacement, the need to move on was very apparent. Hines Ward as well. With Cam, it does not feel that way to me, because he feels so impactful on and off the field still. And it's not like those players were, again, just bums at those points of their career, but it felt like there was time to move on for those players. Contrarily, it feels like Cam Hayward still very much is within like his like Steelerness, to use my own term there. And I just think, I don't think, I don't know. I know that doesn't make a ton of sense, like if we're just looking at just like 1-to-1, but I think it's apples and oranges when we're talking about where Cam is at as a veteran compared to some of these other veterans that were kind of pushed out at the end of their careers.
I agree. I think Cam's way more impactful. He's still fantastic. He's an all-pro at 36 years old, and you respect those guys. At the same time, it's just how the Steelers operate. You know what I mean? And I don't get to make those decisions. The Steelers way, and I do not agree with it, but it's what they do pretty constant. My dad told me that growing up, Big Don would constantly warn me, your favorite player is going to get kicked out one day. It's like, what? No chance. And then Hines Ward cried. And I said, what the hell is this? What's going on, man? Why is he leaving? It's Pittsburgh Steelers.
Where did Franco Harris finish his career?
Seattle.
Exactly.
Tortellini salad. The Steelers should be inquiring about as many wide receivers as possible. I'm talking about inquiring about draft picks to like Egbuka, even if it's unlikely. There's zero. I know everybody loves the rookies, but there's no chance rookies ever get traded. This is not the NBA. But they are. The good news here, Tortellini salad, is that the Steelers are calling everybody. And they've been calling everybody. They've had their eyes on a wide receiver, no matter who it's got to be, for a couple of months now. And it seems like that momentum, the wheels are turning once again, and they're looking. So this is the time of the year. Like I said, this is when guys start to become more and more available, and there are names we don't even know about yet. Like this is the time of year where if the Steelers traded for a wide receiver tomorrow that we did not see coming, it would be surprising, but like nobody should be like, oh my gosh, I can't believe, I would have never guessed. It's the time of year where everybody is a little bit available, and for the right price, anything could happen. So my best reporting to you is that it is happening, and they are calling pretty much everybody to see who that guy could be. We'll see what happens. Heath Miles, bro, we need to gift Smootest Buddhist a membership. I will donate it. Let me know how we can make this happen. I think you just drop a thing in here. You and Smootest Buddhist got to make sure you're in alignment here. And then you drop a free membership, and Smootest Buddhist picks it up. I think that's how it works. If not, Smootest, you're my dude, bro. We reach out. We're proud of you. We're thankful for you. And we got you for sure. Thomas,
for sure.
What would Marvin Harrison Jr. cost? A lot. Especially because he looks crazy. He's a second-year guy. He's the future of the franchise. He's the fourth pick in the draft last year. A lot. Like too much. Way too much. As many first-round picks as you could give up. That's how much Marvin Harrison Jr. Would probably cost.
Yeah, especially when he has a toddler playing quarterback. Like, he's got to do a lot. Like, he's got to drive him to the games. He's got to make sure there's no accidents on the field. Like, there's just like a lot on his plate. True. It's not just about the touchdowns and the catches. It's a lot more. He's an impactful player for the Arizona Cardinals. I tell you what, I'd be thrilled if they could finagle that. But I mean, I think that the cost would just be astronomical to bring him in. But could you? I might go play Madden later so I could put him on the other side of DK Metcalf and just go nuts, see what happens.
Yeah. It would be awesome, but they would just never. Also, I've been told that gifting memberships is random. So Smootest Buddhist, we'll figure it out. That's promise. We'll figure it out for sure.
I'll freaking pay for Smootest Buddhist membership if we can't get this straightened out. No problem at all. Yeah,
we'll figure it out. Lindsay, the strawberry pretzel jello salad. We have been in wide receiver purgatory for years now. Do you agree with this? I highlighted this because I want to ask if you think that the Steelers are in wide receiver purgatory.
I would not describe it that way. I wonder, is this like because there hasn't been an undoubted superstar like amongst the ranks since Antonio Brown's downfall? Is that like what Lindsay's kind of getting
had to
at?
Be like, considered in that group somewhat, you know what I mean? I disagree as well.
Right. Yeah, and I guess that's like if the definition of that being in purgatory is there's no like overarching leader like number one, sure, but like there's been good wide receiver play for the most part. Every, you can find someone who did either overachieved beyond their expectations or had a quality year overall. I think George Pickens over the last couple of years was not a number one wide receiver, not a top 15 wide receiver in the league production wise, but he was very good, and I think we watched him outperform like the quarterback play a ton. I think we saw Chase Claypool have a breakout year before he fell off a cliff. I think we saw some other guys kind of just like have good seasons. So that's what I mean, and that's how I'm thinking about it, and that's why I don't see it as the Steelers being in purgatory. But like they haven't had like the Hines Ward, the Santonio Holmes, the Antonio Browns, and 10 in the last decade for sure. I'll certainly concede that.
I think I agree. Like they haven't, but they've had the Deontay Johnsons, they've had the George Pickens, like they had wide receivers, they've gone through this. I think that I honestly think this is the first year. Last year was the first year where you were like, oh, yikes. But the year before that, they just didn't have an offensive line. They had the Chase Claypool, they had the Juju, like pretty decent wide receivers. There are a lot of teams in the NFL that have some serious wide receiver turnover year after year after year after year, and then don't lock down that guy because you have to pay that guy a boatload of money and he's got to be worth it. George would have been that guy, but just Deontay got a contract. You know what I mean? So I think they're starting to hit it got weird and uncomfortable for a year, but I think right now where they're at, things are, I would not consider a purgatory. Strange, trying to figure it out, trying to navigate through George Pickens through everybody for a loop thing. Yes, but I don't think it's the worst play. It's no quarterback purgatory that like they've been in.
Yeah, I feel like what I would agree with is that the offense as a whole has been stuck in purgatory for the last like 5 to 6 years. They've been identityless. They've lacked pushback. They have been missing parts. They have not gelled, not been cohesive. They have been everything you really don't want your offense to look like and operate over the last 5 to 6 years. I 100% agree with that. They still might be in it, I think
wide receiver
they have a better chance
purgatory.
of escaping it. Oh yeah, sure.
This one, yes.
But
for the last 2 years.
Noah's point, last 2 years for sure. But 2023, you had Deontay Johnson and George Pickens. Like you had a good wide receiver combination. So like
agreed. It's just the last 2 years. I would say the last 2 years. The last 2 years for sure. Everything before that, I thought they were good. Juju was a good number 2. Chase was a good number 2. Deontay was a good number 2. George for a year was good number 2. Like Martavis Bryant going back. Like I thought they were all right. And then, I would say the last 2 years, I agree with you here, Lindsay. Definitely purgatory. Tortellini salad. It's also been a minute. I hope you guys in the picnic pack are all staying blessed. Tortellini salad. I hope you're staying blessed as well. Shout out to your profile picture because I just realized it and it's hilarious. I hope everybody's staying blessed, man. It's angry SpongeBob with the little hat. It's angry SpongeBob with the little hat. It's awesome.
That's awesome. My vision's awful from this. Yeah. Love it, tortellini salad.
Lindsay with a follow-up here. Why didn't the Steelers draft someone if they knew George Pickens was going to be such an issue that they had to trade him? I'll answer this one. This is the timeline here, okay? In January, right after the season ended, the Steelers started making phone calls to see what the trade value of George Pickens was. They did not get good trade value. Everybody was offering bad picks. They knew that at the time they wanted to move on from George Pickens, but they weren't going to move on from George Pickens for nothing. Before the NFL draft, the best offer they had was a 5th-round pick. During the NFL draft, it was a 4th-round pick. They said, no chance, we're good, we're going to keep George. After the draft, after conversations ended between the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Dallas Cowboys, Jerry Jones gets on the field or on the phone, calls Omar and says, screw it, we'll give you a 3rd-round pick. And the Steelers said, damn, okay, sounds good, take him. He's all yours. And that's why he left. So they were a little bit blindsided as well about George getting an offer for George that they wanted to have, but they were looking to move on for a while. While they didn't replace him in the draft, I agree with you. I think it's a little questionable, but I think when they tried to, what their plan was, it shifted because they said, okay, well, George is going to stay. We already have we don't need wide receivers. And then they realized very quickly that they did need wide receivers. And well, here we are. Here we are. Tomlin's eyelids. He cut me off. Noah, would you let? Also, this is Eli, who was, Tomlin's salad. Shout out to Eli. Noah, would you let your wife get a cat if it meant a Steelers Super Bowl win? If so, how many cats would it take before you said no? For the record, I'm on your side. No cats in this house. I got 3 cats. Okay, had 4. Rest easy to Ivy Jean. She was the bomb. We're at 3. Okay, one of them tried to make its way into my house over the weekend, and I was not a fan of it. I was immediately like, God damn, dude. I said no to the cats. What's happening? Luckily, we found its owner very quickly, thankfully. His name's Charlie. He still comes to my backyard every day now. He thinks he's part of the crew here. No. Sorry, Charlie. And the answer to this question is very simple. No, I would not. Okay? I'm good. Do I want the Steelers to win a Super Bowl? Yes. Do I want 4 cats? No, I don't. I don't want 4 cats. So this would be tough. If somebody said the Steelers would never win a Super Bowl if you don't let your wife get a cat, I would let her get 1 cat. Okay? If we start, when the negotiations start going multiple cats, sorry guys, I just can't. I love y'all, but you get 1 day of joy. You know what I mean? And I have to live. Cats live for 20 years. 20 years. I might not live for 20 years. You know what I mean? Like there's a lot going on here that I just don't think I could do it. I don't think I could do it.
Noah's going out in a blaze of glory at age 49.
Just 49, dude. With 4 cats. With 4 cats hanging out. Oh God.
That are all outlived. He was outlived by his 4 cats.
And then they ate me because that's what they do. And all because the Steelers got 1 Super Bowl. No. Love you guys. No. Enigma After Dark. Who would you like to see be the next practice squad superstar? It's Alex Hurlman, our preseason superstar, excuse me. It's Alex Hurlman, and that's who I want it to be. That guy's a stud. I want him to make the roster. Like, I want Max Hurlman to make the roster. I think he's so good. Keyshawn Williams is a very close second. Those my 1A, 1B there. But I just very much so enjoy them and would love for either of them to get an opportunity in the NFL.
I would be thrilled. Your 53-man roster did come out today, which I think gave some nice insights into that as well.
Kaboom didn't hit me with the 10 to 12 days before I put this thing together.
That would have been nice for you. That would have been very nice.
Would have been real friendly for Kaboom to drop that to me, but he didn't.
He kaboomed you.
He kaboomed me.
He kaboomed me. I think it's hard to pick anyone outside of those 2. They have just been very, very impressive. And it's just I love falling in love with practice squad guys, fringe roster players, like buying into like the battle that is the 7th wide receiver within an organization or something like that. So yeah, I mean, it's been super fun to watch both of those guys in camp. Would love to see some more of them and seeing them around and just keep developing and checking in on them maybe next year and seeing, what the progress looked like and if it paid off or if it was just a flash in a pan of excitement. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree. I would like to see both of them continue. I don't think we've seen all of them, and I want both of them to get opportunities. You know what I mean? And to see what they could do when it's not third stringers, and we'll go from there. Mike Lang, is it just me, or was it good to hear how locked in Ramsey is and how he talked about the team? The wide receiver room isn't bad, but doesn't fit the all-in mantra. I agree with the wide receivers. And also, my biggest takeaway about who Jalen Ramsey is so far since being here is that he is 99% football, 1% never puts his hood down. He is a guy that literally eats, breathes, and sleeps wanting to win at football. And that's what the Steelers are. You know what I mean? That's who TJ Watt is. That's that's who DK strikes me as. That's who Jaylen Warren strikes me as. Jaylen Warren 2 years ago used to walk around with a football, dude. He showered with a football in his hand. That's what he did. That's who the Steelers are. So yeah, it does impress me. I've looked at Jalen since the moment he showed up and said the most impressive thing about him is how all in he is on being a great football player.
Yeah, for sure. It really is between him and like Aaron Rodgers, it is really surprising how different the response from the locker room and from sort of the fan base has been to both of these players who have had, not from us or, just the you and I specifically, but like there's been a lot of like negative talk about both of those players. There's been a lot of concerns voiced around the NFL about both of those players for myriad reasons. So like it's so awesome. I did get a chance to like watch the pivot interview
Yeah.
that Jalen Ramsey was on, and it was crazy. Like I've never heard so much about him, and I've never heard him talk for 45 minutes straight period, but to see how much of it was just continuously going back to I want to just win. I want to be where I can win football games and be supported and do that in a way that I think makes the most sense. And man, he's certainly found that home here with the Pittsburgh Steelers. So it's been impressive. I agree with that 100%, Mike, about to see him locked in, I think is a problem for the rest of the NFL that they are about to encounter.
I agree. Maddie, do you think Pittsburgh has still been in contact with Washington? If we obtain Terry, what and who are we giving up? What is our needle movement if we get Terry? We've answered the second one quite a bit. So the first one is, from my understanding, yes, the Steelers are still kind of in contact with everybody. Does Terry McLaurin make the Pittsburgh Steelers? Do they surpass the Baltimore Ravens or the Bills or the Chiefs in Super Bowl contention in the AFC?
No, but I think now I finally do believe that they could with earnestness.
I like that answer. I like that a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that a lot. I agree with that. I think that this is that'd be the first movement of like, ooh, this is now a tier 1 team. You know what I mean? Was tier 2, is now a tier 1 team. Where in that tier, we'll see. But I like that. I like that a lot. Nate needs more salad. Noah and Jacob, who's your ideal and realistic wide receiver target at this point? The answer has changed throughout camp. Okay, so if you were to guess today, which I think we answered this already. Did we answer this at the end of our rundown? If you had to guess who the wide receiver is, we might have. It's been a long day. If you were to guess who the wide receiver is in Pittsburgh come week 1, who's it going to be?
Oh, we did talk about this earlier, but now it's clicked. But I'll answer it again for my boy Nate.
True.
I think Jalen McMillan from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers is like the best fit at this point, and meets in the middle of being an impact player who we all agree could be a 700-800 yard receiver, really complement DK Metcalf, while also being within a realistic range of acquiring. So like I'm gonna stick with him for now.
I like it. And like I said, I think it's OBJ. I think it's OBJ. Stinks, but I think it's open. Cody Silva, when can you give us an update on when starters are playing on Saturday? Tomorrow, Tomlin will most likely reveal that. I don't anticipate that it's any starters. Maybe it's the offensive line for like a series. I would imagine it's no more than who played last time. But tomorrow, me and Jacob will be at the joint practice. Tomlin should talk, and then Andy Weidel should also talk. So we should have a lot of information coming to you guys for sure. Roman, Darius Slayton. The only issue here is that he's just signed a 1-year deal with New York again. So I think this is more of a New York sucks by week 5. There's conversations type situation.
Yeah. I agree with that. I think he's a mid-season pickup candidate, I think would be the best way to describe him.
Yeah, I don't see him right now being a guy that is on the block. They have a lot of optimism. Russ is cooking, man. Russ is cooking. And when Russ doesn't cook,
moon balls.
When Russ isn't cooking, I think Darius Slayton becomes available. But I think right now is a little early. Chew and bark seaweed salad, aka asada burrito. Noah, are you happy to get back to the factor meals instead of the ice cream? I won't lie to you guys. This morning I woke up and said, all right, dude, you're going to the gym. Weighed myself, was like, this is it. We're back. And then I opened my fridge and realized that I brought home a to-go box of desserts from training camp yesterday. And I'm sorry, I didn't tell you this. Crab legs. Yeah, they had crab legs yesterday.
You shouldn't have told me that yesterday. I'm glad you told that today.
So this morning for breakfast, I had double chunk chocolate cookies with peanut butter icing in the middle of them and crab legs. So, slowly but surely, we're going to get back to protein shakes at some point. Back to meals. I got to get on it. Pittsburgh Hornets, hard-hitting question. What's the best alternative Oreo flavor? Can I give you a sleeper here? Okay.
Yep.
The Selena Gomez ones slap.
What are those?
I don't have any. They're like kind of pinkish, purplish.
Do
Slap.
they taste like Selena Gomez?
I hope so. They slap, dude. They slap. But you can't go wrong with anything peanut butter. What's your favorite Oreo flavor? Tell me you're not an Oreo guy. I'll remove you right now.
Just like you see Noah's fist come through the screen. If I said
it's just
I love Oreos, can eat them all day. Whenever I am with my father, we crush Oreos all the time. I love the what are they like? I don't know what they're called, but like what they're like the vanilla ones on the outside, like inside out Oreos, whatever they were called.
Oh yeah.
I could crush a bunch of those or any combination with like the vanilla flavored cookie. But I mean, dude, just give me a sleeve of any cookie, Oreos, whatever. I'm taking them down, no problem. Your boys gotcha.
I agree 100%, dude. I could eat a whole box. My go-to, everybody gets pizza and stuff when they're drunk in college. I come home and eat a whole box of Oreos and some chocolate milk. Not lying. And it would be awesome. It would be awesome. And then we're going to finish it off with nice tokes here. What are you looking forward to seeing this week against Tampa Bay? Anything specific? Appreciate the coverage, boys. What are you looking for in the joint practice tomorrow?
Physicality. To see how it's met when you're going against a better team than the Jacksonville Jaguars with respect to the players they threw out there last week. I'm excited to see Aaron Rodgers go against, as he would call it, a not vanilla defense, and to see how he responds. I was really interested whenever he talked about like the advantages that intra-squad inter-team practices can bring and is sort of a tune-up for the regular season. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how Aaron Rodgers performs against this defense and just how physical everyone is on both sides of the ball. Anything else in particular you're looking for?
No, I like the physicality component of it. I want to see Jalen Ramsey in that defense against Baker in the offense. I want to see what they look like against another wide receiver 1, wide receiver 2 combo. Like they look elite in Pittsburgh, but I don't have super high hopes for the Steelers offense right now. The standard for the Pittsburgh Steelers offense is not the Tampa Bay Buccaneers offense. So give me that offense and let me see how good they look. I expect good things, but I want to see it. That's where I stand on this one. And with that said, guys, we're heading out of here. Shout out to everybody who's been talking cats in the chat and how we shouldn't, and they support my decision to let the Steelers not win a Super Bowl for a cat. This is why I love you guys, and I appreciate you. We're heading out of here. Thank you guys so much for jumping on to another episode of All Steelers Talk. Make sure to subscribe to us on YouTube, youtube.com/All Steelers Talk. Check us out anywhere you get your podcasts, and as always, find all of our work at si.com/NFL/Steelers. With that said, I hope everybody has another beautiful day in the Berg. Peace.